Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the GMT analysis for this new week. Congratulations to those who had profits in the last week trading the uh, stocks that we discussed in our previous analysis. So, with the indexes for this week, we'll start first with NASDAQ 100. So, for NDX, if we look on the weekly chart, the bullish trend has continued in the last week, and currently it is at 20,100 with the mid Bollinger Band at 20,427, which could be the resistance that it could have on the weekly trend. If we look at the indicators, Williams R, RSS, and MACD, the bullish trend on the weekly chart seems to be to continue. If we look on the daily chart, there's a difference of what the indicators show here. So Williams R, RSI, and MACD, these are almost near the overbought region, especially Williams R is already in the overbought territory. It has closed above the 200 EMA, which is a positive sign, and the upper Bollinger Band is at 20,352. So, with this, we can still see an upside, but for those who are looking to enter, it would be time to just watch for now. And for those who are still holding on to your profits, it could be good time to book your profits when the index touches 20,350 or 400, as we saw on the weekly chart. If we look at SPX, and again we see from the weekly chart, it's almost same what we saw on Nasdaq 100. Currently it is at 5,686, and the mid Bollinger Band is close to 90 points away, uh, with Williams R, RSI, and MACD still showing the upward trend. And the daily chart, again almost replicating what we saw on Nasdaq 100. It has closed about 200 EMA. Williams R is in the overbought region. RSI is almost reaching to the overbought region. However, it has not reached the overbought territory yet. So for those who are currently holding the S&P 500 stocks, uh, you can expect small upside from the current price. It is currently at 5686, and the upper Bollinger Band here is at 57445, which would be the resistance, bringing it at the mid or towards the end of March levels. So if you are currently onto the positions, you can look to book your profits around the 5,745 level. And if you are looking to enter, it would be time to just watch for now instead of opening a new position early this week. If we go to SOX, which is the semiconductor index, for those who are trading the semiconductor stocks, again on the weekly trend, the last 4 weeks pattern is almost the same. um, in terms of the next resistance levels to watch for SOX, currently it is at 4397, and the next EML, which is almost merging the mid Bollinger Band, is at 4700. So close to 300 points. It already touched the uh, EMA in the last week, where when it made a high of 4400, this gray EMA level, and in the coming weeks can expect it to go beyond that resistance, and um, the next target in that case would be 4707, which is another 400 points. If we look on the daily chart, so we have an EMA 200 at 4715, which is similar to the level that we saw on the weekly chart. So if you are holding SOX or semiconductor stocks and looking for higher profits, it would be good to hold for the um, next EMA levels. The immediate EMA on the daily chart is at 4573, which is another um, close to 170 points, and then the next would be 4700. So for the semiconductor stocks, the bullish trend is expected to continue further, even though the Williams R is in overbought region. If you are planning to hold because the indicator is in overbought region, make sure that you hold it with a strong stop loss. So the stop loss in this case would be this level of 4000, 4280, which is the super trend level over here. And also EMA is marching at the same level. So moving on to the additional indexes, the DJI or Dow Jones, again looking at the weekly chart, um, it has been bullish, and for the coming week, the next resistance levels that uh, could watch are the 50 EMA level here at 4107, 41,769, and following that would be the mid Bollinger Band, which is close to 42,200. So overall, even DJI on the MACD and uh, RSI is RSI has almost flattened, but since it has not been into overbought region yet, you can expect um, the further movement upside. If we look TJ on the daily chart, it has almost reached this EMA 50 level, and it which acted as the resistance in the last trading session. Um, since it has had a green candle closing, you can expect it to continue further up with the 200 EMA at 42,000, close to 200, to be the next resistance. Again, if you are onto those positions, could continue to hold and make sure that you have uh, stop loss in place, so that if the market reverses, your stop loss helps in booking your profits. So these were the indexes, primary indexes that we typically discuss for the US stocks. Now moving on to the index for the Canadian stock. If you look on the weekly chart, the last 4 weeks have been green candle for TSX. So for those who are trading only the Canadian stocks, this has been a good bullish trend. Currently, Williams R is at -20, which is almost in the overbought region, but still there's a slight upside remaining. So you can expect it to go further up, where the resistance would be at 25,500 on the weekly trend. And if we look on the daily trend, yeah, the upper Bollinger Band on the daily chart is at 25,500, which we saw on the weekly chart. So if you're holding Canadian stocks, you could still continue to hold for another close to 500 points upside. Make sure that you hold it with a close stop loss in case there's a reversal. So with this, we will now move to the commodities. Those who are trading crude oil, especially looking at the crude oil on the weekly chart, it has been on downtrend. It has had a gap down opening today. It's close to 3.8% down. If we look on the monthly chart, it's under the lower Bollinger Band even on the monthly chart. So if you are trading commodities, either crude oil futures or future options, um, looking at the chart, it's in oversold in the monthly, weekly, and the daily charts. So it's a good opportunity for those who are trading crude oil. And um, in futures and future options, um, especially for future options, you could look at getting the calls if you are trading it on a platform which supports future options. Moving next to gold, after a long bullish trend, if you look the last 3 weeks for gold, it has started showing signs of correction, at least if not the start of bearish trend. So if you are someone who is holding gold and are in good profits, it's a time on based on the weekly trend to book your profits. Although it has had a positive opening this week, but looking at the last two candles and the indicators, it is still in overbought region, and you can expect correction to continue. Uh, there's some correction that has happened in the last 2 weeks, but you can expect it to correct further. Currently, it's sitting on the mid Bollinger Band on the daily chart. Is it appears to be taking some support, um, and if this acts as a support, the next resistance level would be another close to 50, 50 points, or if we look at the level, rather close to 90 points at 3,359. That could be the strong resistance. and you can expect it to go further down. So if you are someone who is looking to take a put trade, you could watch for a day or two and see that it faces resistance around this level of 33,340 to 60, and then you can take a put trade for the lower levels. Because it has been on long uptrend, it, the market would correct, at least if not uh, go on the bearish trend for gold. So if you are holding it, would be good time to book your profits with gold. For those who are trading crypto, looking on the weekly chart, it is currently sitting on the mid Bollinger Band, or rather facing resistance at the mid Bollinger Band. Um, so with with indicators flat at this trend, it would be better to just watch, as it's a sideways movement on the weekly trend. And on the daily trend, uh, from the last two sessions, it is a clear down downward trend that we can see on the Williams R, and also RSI has slightly turned downward with the next support levels. And this what we are seeing is in CAD. So the next support levels are 128 100, and then 126 420. And if those resistance it doesn't hold, then the next levels to watch for would be 121 875. So this was mostly for those in the GMT group who trade on cryptos. Now, in terms of the stocks, before we go on to the analysis of the stocks, I believe most of you would be aware of the Grow Money Trading website. So our next upcoming course information you can find on the website, and the next batch which we are going to have is uh, planned from May 24. I know some of you have been inquiring about the start of the next batch. So uh, it would be a 4 weekend course. And if you haven't enrolled, feel free to go on the website and complete the enrollment. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the GMT team. All right. So with that, and we'll go back to Webull for analysis of the stocks that have been requested by the GMT members. So the first stock that's requested is TSLA from Vivek Krishna. So looking at Tesla on the weekly chart, the MACD is still showing reversal upward. Uh, Williams R has flattened, still in the oversold region, and RSI has also almost flattened, still in the oversold region. And on the weekly chart, it has the next resistance at 328. So last week it faced resistance at the current EMA levels. But if you look very closely, it has formed a candle which indicates the downward price rejection, which means it has potential to go further up on the weekly chart. And when we look closer on the daily chart, The Williams R is in overbought region. However, RSI is still uh, close to midway and upwards, indicating that it can go further up. In the last week, it has almost formed a small uh, channel, uh, as it has been facing resistance around the 200 EMA. Uh, Watch for the pre-market trading tomorrow and the early market trading. If it breaks this resistance at the 200 EMA level, and then that would be good time to enter for the next resistance that we discussed on the weekly chart. However, if it faces resistance, then wait for correction and look for uh, mid Bollinger Band level of 257 for the entry on Tesla. So 257 is the mid Bollinger Band. You can look to buy around, or you can keep a limit buy order in the system at around 260. The stop loss for that trade would be at uh, the level here, which is at 228. So um, another close to 30 points with a upside for target at 326, which is still a good risk to reward ratio. If you are looking for close stop loss and entering around 257 or 260, which we saw on the mid Bollinger Band. So if you are planning to enter at that level, yeah, I think the stop loss is further down. So the stop loss at around 227 looks to be good if you are planning to hold it for target above 320. It's still a favorable risk to reward ratio. For those who are trading the ETF, for ETF, the next target levels are 1490 and 1680, followed by 17. So with the current price in the aftermarket, it is trading at 1049. So if you buy even at 1050, close to $4.5 upside on the weekly trend, and the next level is at it glow it's close to around 55 to 60% returns. On the daily chart, it has been facing resistance at the super trend level. um, so at the start of the week, again, as uh, mentioned on the Tesla, so see if it breaks this resistance. If it breaks this resistance, then you can enter with a close stop loss of the low of last day for the higher targets. If it doesn't break this resistance, then the next entry price would be the mid Bollinger Band at 876, or if you are looking to enter sooner, the low or the open price here, which is 891. So for those who are not watching the markets, you could keep a limit buy at $9. And although the Williams R is in overbought region, the RSI still shows that it has potential to continue further up. All right, so the next request is from Snigdha TEM Tempus AI, and Tempus AI on the weekly chart, it is strong bullish. Williams R, RSI, both are um, showing upside. Even MACD is showing an upside. Looking at TM on the daily chart, RSI is at 57.85, which is still indicating that it has potential to go further up. Williams R is in overbought region. However, um, if you are already on it, you could hold it for a target at super trend is at 62.90. So you could aim to look at target of 62.75, or the high here was 61.50. And let's see if, yeah, so it has already touched this 58 level in the last trading session. Um, and if we are holding for higher targets, then the next target to look would be close to 62. If it corrects, 49 is a strong support for entry, and with a stop loss at 46, which is the mid Bollinger Band. So in terms of Tempus AI, Snigdha, if you are on it, uh, it is bullish, but you can book your profits and re-enter after correction. And if you plan to hold for higher targets, you could still hold small quantity for the upside, uh, closer to the mid Bollinger, closer to the upper Bollinger Band on weekly chart, or the resistance here, which is close to 69.50. So the targets, first target 61, second target 69, and third target would be 76 for mid to longer term hold. So over 3+ months hold, 2 to 3+ months hold. In terms of short term, you could book most of your profits around the super trend level here, close to 60 to 90. All right, so the next one that's requested from her is RIVN, and looking on the weekly chart, even on the weekly chart, it has almost reached the overbought region. The RSI and MACD are still upward on the weekly trend. However, if we look on the daily chart, there's clearly profit booking happening as it is in the overbought region. There's a strong upside rejection and the last candle. So if you are already on profit on Rivian, it's good time to book your profits and wait for it to correct. And the next buy levels for Rivian would be 1260, which is a strong support, and if it breaks further, 11 1180 is um, a good buy price for Rivian for holding it for the higher targets. And if you would like to enter early, the mid Bollinger Band and some of the EMAs merging here, um, close to 12 would be a good buy as well. And if it dips further to 11, then you can add to your positions. GRR. See next. So GRR, unlike some of the tech stocks, major tech stocks trend that we saw on the weekly chart, it has formed a red candle, and the 200 EMA is further down, and other EMAs are down as well, which indicates that it has further downside. So if you are watching this stock for entry, the next strong support is at 1450. So at this time, it would be just in the watch list, um, and the buy level. Looking at the weekly chart, it's still not strong. So I would just suggest to keep it in the watch list and see that it honors this support and shows a clear reversal before entering in this. All right, so we'll move next for a couple of requests from Keshav, and he has requested for UPRO, which is and for S&P 500. So similar to what we saw on the S&P 500 index analysis, the trend is upward. It has further potential to move up. So currently it is at 7190. If you are holding it and looking for next targets on the weekly chart, it has potential to go to 78 and 8190. If you look on the daily chart, the next immediate resistance is at this super trend level of the level. So the next super trend level is at 73.48. So if you are holding, I would suggest to book some of the profit at 73.45 so that your order executes. And then the next target levels for part of your positions could be 77 and 79. In terms of this position, so if you have good quantity of positions, plan to book partial profits, let's say 50% of your positions at this current uh, super trend level, the first resistance that I mentioned, and then you can hold remaining portion for the next target levels. If it faces resistance here, you would have booked profit from the partial position, and then you can plan to re-enter. For re-entry, the mid Bollinger Band level of 6150, or this is a strong support. So 65 would be the support where you can enter for the higher targets that we discussed on the weekly chart. And at the current price, look for the immediate resistance to book your profit. If we look at TQQ, so for TQQ currently it touched the resistance at the high 60 in the last trading session, and the Williams R is in overbought region, so you can expect some profit booking happening, but RSI is still upward, so it could still continue going up. However, as I mentioned, for the um, UPRO, book profit for partial of your positions, and then you can re-enter once it corrects for taking it the for the targets. And for those who are looking to re-enter, there's a small gap down here, 53.75 or 54 could be the entry price, unless it has a large correction, which is looking at the current trend. uh, it may take more than a week to have the big correction. This week indicates that it's still good to move further up. Okay. All right. So moving to the next request, that's from Umair, and Umair is looking for Amazon move in the next session. In the last week, it has had a lower price rejection, and the Williams R and RSI has flattened uh, with MACD upwards, which indicates that it has still potential to go further up. The next resistance is at 200, followed by 208, and on the weekly chart we see that there is upside on, and on the daily chart, um, RSI has flattened. Williams R is in the overbought region. However, the 200 EMA is still upward, and even super trend is above current level, so it has potential to go further up another um, almost $6 from the current price to face resistance as super trend, and then another $9 or close to $10 for the EMA 200 level. So for Amazon, if you are already on Amazon, you can expect it to go further up in the um, initial part of the week. So watch for Monday, Tuesday for it to go further up. And if in case if you are holding any puts, it would be good to exit. If it gives a dip, you can try to exit from the puts, as the first half of the week it could continue to move further up. All right, so the next couple of requests are from Abhijit. First request is IONQ. On the weekly trend, Williams R is up, RSI has almost flattened, MACD is upward. It has reached the mid Bollinger Band at 3090. So the mid Bollinger Band could act as a resistance. However, looking at the last candle, it has formed a big green Marubazu, which indicates that it could go higher than the last session's high. It's already in the overbought region in the Williams R. However, RSI still indicates that it can go further up. So the mid Bollinger Band level of the mid Bollinger Band level here on the weekly chart, uh, it had a high in the previous week at 31.85, and since the mid Bollinger Band here is at 32, I would suggest to book your profits towards the close of Monday or early Tuesday. If you are already on it, to book your profits. Since it is at mid Bollinger Band, you can expect profit booking to happen. The next one that's requested is RKLB, again at the mid Bollinger Band. Williams R is upward, RSI so upward, MACD is also upward. However, since it is at the mid Bollinger Band and on the daily chart it is almost in the overbought region, if you are holding it, can book your profits at the upper Bollinger Band level of 24. But if you are looking to enter, I would suggest to wait for it to correct and enter close to mid Bollinger Band of 20 $20.25. All right, so with this we will take two more stocks. One is Apple. So for Apple, the last candle was red, which has um, resulted into Williams R downward and RSI also downward on the weekly trend and on the daily trend. Um, with the last session, we see the Williams R and RSI has turned downward on the daily chart as well. So if you are looking to enter, I would suggest to wait for it to drop under 200 and enter. That would be a strong resistance. Wait for confirmation of the reversal and enter it to hold for higher targets. So 200 would be a buy range for Apple, and if you are trading AAPB uh, on the daily chart for AAPB, the resistance almost had a low on last session. Um, if you haven't entered, the mid Bollinger Band here is at 1978. You could look to buy at close to the mid Bollinger Band level of 1980 and then hold it for higher target levels. So from that point of view, AAPB is good to have in your watch list if you are someone who is looking to enter a trade and looking for uh, a stock to hold at support and reverse. So the last one in our analysis is we'll take PLTR, and it's a great stock to hold for longer term growth. And for those who are looking for a good opportunity for long term growth, PLTR is an excellent stock to invest for the long term. So if you see in 2023 January, it was at six close to $6 and is currently at close to 124 and about to touch its all-time high. It has its earning after market close. So for those who are holding it, it's good time to book your profits in the overnight trading. It is at 126, which means it is at all-time high. So if you are already on it, it's a good opportunity to book your profits at the all-time high. Um, let's see on the 4-hour chart, does it show the 126? Um, it's it's not showing on the 4-hour chart as well. However, you can see in the overnight trading, it's at 126.46. Um, so try to book your profits before the earnings report tomorrow. If you are already on PLTR, and if it has correction up after earnings, wait for it to drop at least the mid Bollinger Band level on daily chart at 95 or at 100 for entering it, and for holding for medium to long term if you are someone looking to invest in a stock for long term. And Dan Silva, since you had requested, this could be one stock that you could look to hold for long term. All right. So with that, in terms of the markets, it the overall trend is bullish. However, if you are in profits, try to book your profits either by Monday end of the day or Tuesday. And if you are looking to enter in any of the um, positions, wait for correction to happen before entering. So um, it's still a good week for those who are bullish, and would like to hold some of the positions for the upside. If you are planning to hold for upside, hold smaller quantity of your positions and wait for um, the market reversal and correction for entering at lower price levels. So with that, hope this analysis helps, and hope you make good profits, and wish you good luck for the trade this week, and see you in the analysis session next week. Thank you.